None of what I'm about to say should surprise you. More than half of all Canadians, about 59%, now say the U.S. is the biggest threat facing their country, which begs the question, what are the other 41% thinking? Now, previously, China was a top-ranked threat in Canada. This according to a poll from Pew Research Center. But that was before this.
Economic force, because Canada and the United States, that would really be something. You get rid of that artificially drawn line, and you take a look at what that looks like, and it would also be much better for national security. Don't forget, we basically protect Canada. But here's the problem with Canada. So many friends up there. I love the Canadian people. They're great. But we're spending hundreds of billions a year to protect it. We're spending hundreds of billions a year to take care of Canada. We lose in trade deficits. We're losing massive. We don't need their cars. You know, they make 20% of our cars. We don't need that. I'd rather make them in Detroit. We don't need the cars. We don't need their lumber. We have massive fields of lumber. We don't need their lumber. We have to unrestrict them because stupid people put, restrictions on, but I can do that with an executive order. We don't need anything they have. We don't need their dairy products. We have more than they have. We don't need anything. So why are we losing $200 billion a year and more to protect Canada? Why are we supporting a country, $200 billion plus a year? Our military is at their disposal. All of these other things, they should be a state.
I love that. So Trump is talking about Canada's border as some artificially drawn line. Except the border between the U.S. and Mexico, not quite so artificial.
In a March meeting, the president's advisors tried to turn him away from such a drastic move. He responded, "You're making me look like an idiot," and shouted, "I ran on this. It's my issue."
They want to throw rocks at our military. Our military fights back. We're going to consider it. I told them, consider it a rifle.
The New York Times reports that the president later suggested they shoot migrants in the legs to slow them down.
So the gist of this is Man-Titties is threatening to annex Canada as a 51st U.S. state while simultaneously starting a trade war with one of our most important trading partners. So that fear of China Canadians have doesn't look so bad now. Just 15% of Canadians now view China as a big threat. But here's a strange combination. A sizable minority of Canadians, about 25%, view the U.S. as both their country's top ally and their top threat. And the truth is, well, they're right. I mean, Americans love Canadians. They just hate Trump.
Air Canada, WestJet have reduced the number of flights going down to the U.S. because the demand's not there. People have canceled their spring break plans. They've canceled their summer plans to the U.S. because they don't want to go spend their money in the U.S.
This is Surrey, British Columbia. Just about every Canadian we have met, especially the businessmen, say that President Trump right now is practicing both bad math and bad manners.
So steel prices are going to go up for us in Canada for sure, but they're also going up for every single user of steel in the U.S. The only economic argument that I can see is that the steel mills in the U.S. will be more profitable.
So the companies might do all right, but your assessment is that the American people,
they're the losers. So they're the big losers in this. So they're going to really suffer because the cost of goods are going to go up.
Is it changing the way people here think about the United States?
Oh, absolutely. We cross the border probably once every 2 weeks. My wife loves to Costco there because they have different products and what have not. But we've stopped doing it because we don't want to go spend our money there because of what's going on in today's world.
Canada is going to be a very serious contender to be our 51st state.
When he says 51st state or he calls your prime minister governor, do you find that funny and playful or do you find it insulting?
I find it very insulting. And what I find even more insulting is the fact that the American people are standing there silent and not calling him out on it.
And there's similar results coming from Mexico. 68% of respondents there see the U.S. as Mexico's top threat, while 20% said it was both their top ally and their top threat. All of this a shining example of how Trump is fucking up the world. I mean, Trump actually proposed building a moat between the U.S. and Mexico and filling it full of snakes and alligators. He's fucking crazy.
That I wanted a wall, but I wanted a moat. A moat. And in the moat, I wanted alligators and snakes. And I wanted the wall to be a fence, and I wanted to be electrified. And I wanted sharp spikes at the top, so if anyone gets it, it goes piercing through their skin. Skin-piercing spikes.
But while you can make a case that Mexico should patrol its borders better, even though 98% of undocumented immigrants have never committed a crime against a U.S. citizen, that's the FBI's numbers. But what did Canada do to us that made Pouty Fuckwinkle want to invade them? It's simple. Trump wants both the minerals and he wants to distract us from his trips to Epstein's Island. Now Trump is proposing more tariffs on Canada.
Today we're doing copper.
What would that tariff be on? The sectional tariff?
I believe the tariff on copper, we're going to make it 50%.
We'll have to wait to see the details.
It caught the Canadian industry by surprise.
I think it could be quite harmful and disruptive because it's part of an integrated supply chain, much like the auto sector is.
With sectors like automotive, another one of Trump's tariff targets, his administration says it wants to encourage domestic production. But when it comes to copper, that theory has limits.
But copper is copper. It comes from the ground. And it's either in the ground or it isn't in the ground. You can't just wave your magic wand and produce copper.
In 2023, Canada exported more than $9 billion worth of copper. The United States imported 52% of that. China, 17%.
If there are tariffs on the finished product of copper, I am concerned that that tariff will affect us producing materials.
They had already pivoted from steel and aluminum after earlier tariffs.
Now that we're working with copper, it seems like we're going to be affected again with yet another material.
This might be providing the United States, or at least an attempt to provide the United States, more leverage during trade negotiations as the president tries to negotiate all these deals with different countries.
Trump didn't specifically name Canada during his announcement. The Prime Minister's office says it's not commenting unless the tariff becomes official.
So who do Americans think is our biggest threat? Is it Mexico or Canada? Nah. 42% of respondents overall said China. That differed by party, though. 58% of Republicans said China. China. Whereas 30% said Russia, and 22% said the greatest danger to America wasn't China or Russia, but this guy. And these guys.
I just wanted to say, look, welcome to the end of democracy. We're here to overthrow it completely. We didn't get all the way there on January 6th, but we will endeavor to get rid of it and replace it with this right here. We'll replace it with this right here.
Amen.
Canada is worried, and understandably. Trump is a mentally fogged, narcissistic sociopath and is capable of fucking up a century-plus beneficial relationship with one of our strongest allies, and no one knows why. So while Trump is threatening Canada and Mexico, he's also threatened Panama and threatened to take over Washington, D.C. and New York City. He's that nuts. But my favorite is his threat to just steal Greenland, like he could just walk in the night and take it, implying that the people there want to be part of this loaded diaper that is America's MAGA force.
Dear President Trump, listen very carefully. Greenland has been part of the Danish kingdom for 800 years. It's an integrated part of our country. It is not for sale. Let me put it in words you might understand. Mr. Trump, fuck off.
I couldn't have said it better.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Goddamn right.
Do you have no shame?
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
Am I wrong?
You're in a lot of trouble, Donna.
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.